Hi guys, it's Kate from the Easy Living Centre. Just touching base and checking in to see how you are coping at this difficult time. There'll be a lot of people actually looking after older people in their families. And it is really important to make sure that if you are a main carer of someone, one of your older relatives, maybe your mum or an older friend, that you are making sure you look after yourself as well as them. It is paramount that as the main carer, you watch your own health and well-being. I guess I liken it to an analogy would be in an aeroplane, if there was an emergency and the oxygen mask dropped down, you would be able to take yours and you would have to put yours on first before you put them on other people. And this is because if you fall unconscious for not having it on, you would then not be able to look after the other people. So it's a good thing to remind yourself that you are really, really pivotal and important, and your health has to be paramount in order to have the energy and inclination to be able to look after other members of your family or friends. So how can you look after yourself? It may be that you do need that time out, but then you've got to weigh up the possibility of of your loved one at home not being able to look after themselves. So it's quite important to try and now start working on how to get them more independent. Because it may not be as simple as just being able to go out and leave them. So if you were to make them more independent and able to do activities on their own, it might give you a bit of a break or your own window of opportunity to go off and do something that you enjoy, and that can keep you more independent and just give you a bit of a break. It is really, really hard to try and get someone who's possibly very tired and not necessarily motivated to do the things they used to do, but it is trying to get that and them to do the stuff for themselves that is going to actually end up helping you out long term. I guess I think about my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, who I do a lot for, but really if I took a step back, there would be things that she could be doing for herself, which would then take off the stress from me. It's sometimes more time consuming initially to do that, because you have to set them up with the say if you're setting them up with breakfast, you have to set them up with the milk and set them up with the cereal, and so they can pour their own out. But ultimately, once they're set up, you can go off and leave them to it, and you can then find something that's going to work for you and that's going to be helpful for keeping you independent and give you purpose. So that's really important. It's also really important to make sure that the task isn't too complex. So it may be that you find something that they used to enjoy doing. It might be that they really enjoyed doing knitting, but can't do it now because of the restrictions on their shoulders. They get achy arms. They've got limited control in their fingers. So perhaps prop them up, see if they could manage it by giving them some support underneath the arms, and just say to them, keep to the simple stitches and maybe limit the time that they're doing it so they don't overwork their fingers and it gets more difficult. And schedule a moment and time that they can spend doing that activity. Say like we're going to do it every morning after your cup of tea, after your and breakfast. After we'll sit down and have 5 minutes doing your knitting. Or hopefully you can extend that period of time, and then that will give you free time to not necessarily do your housework, but to go off and perhaps do some yoga or do something you find relaxing and that's going to recharge your batteries. It's going to take time to plan and set up, but once you've done it, they're going to get a sense of self-worth out of it, and then they can it can be a regular occurrence. It is a really good idea to schedule things like this, because if you don't, the days blur into one, and you don't end up doing it and giving you that time to yourself. Anyway, I hope that's a helpful tip. We remember, when this is all over, we will be running our carer support groups again, which covers all these kind of things and a little bit more. So it would be great to see you back when all this is over. Take care for now. Thanks. Bye.